Welcome to the deep dive. This is your go-to place for becoming instantly well-informed. We basically take a whole stack of curated sources, pull out the most important bits of knowledge, and sprinkle in some surprising facts, maybe a bit of humor, just to keep you hooked. Our mission today, it's a really fascinating one. We're going to embark on, well, an insightful exploration of self-belief, the foundational power of trust, and that incredible continuous journey of personal and professional growth. Our sources for this deep dive give us this rich tapestry of perspectives. We're touching on everything from the nuances of self-efficacy and the huge impact of emotional intelligence all the way to transformative mindset shifts and those subtle but really powerful dynamics in human relationships. Okay, let's unpack this.
And welcome to Andre's Insight, where clarity meets curiosity. Yeah, this deep dive is crafted specifically for you. It's really designed to offer clear, reflective explanations that hopefully foster a deeper understanding. Our aim here is to empower you with, informed decision-making about your own personal potential and how you engage with the world around you, ultimately leading to, well, greater collaborative success in pretty much every facet of your life. It's about not just hearing information, but really getting what it means for your journey.
That's a perfect way to frame it for today. So let's get started. Let's begin our exploration by zooming right in on a core concept in psychology. It's one that often gets confused with, general confidence or even self-esteem. I'm talking about self-efficacy. It's not just about feeling generally capable, is it? It's more about genuinely believing in your specific abilities. Like, can you successfully handle this particular situation? Can you achieve that desired outcome? It's a very practical, kind of actionable conviction. But here's the surprising part, maybe. It's about how your brain literally sort of pre-programs you for success or failure based on your past experiences. Think of it like your brain's internal confidence algorithm, right? Always updating with every little win or, perceived defeat.
You've really hit on the crucial distinction right there. And what's fascinating, I think, is to clarify the difference between self-efficacy, self-esteem, and then something else entirely, egocentrism. So self-efficacy, it really zeroes in on what you believe you can accomplish if you set your mind to it. It's directly linked to your perceived capacity to execute specific actions for concrete situations. Can you actually finish that tough report by Friday?
Right. Or can you learn that new software?
Exactly. Can you really master that new software, even though it looks, well, pretty intimidating? That's self-efficacy in action. It's all about a task-specific belief. Now, self-esteem, that's much broader. It's a more general feeling about your self-worth, how you feel about who you believe you are, right? It covers your overall sense of value, your inherent worth as a person. It's more about your fundamental sense of identity. Then, quite distinct from both of those, you've got egocentrism. Now, this isn't just confidence. It's a very self-centered viewpoint where basically your own reason or opinion is always considered absolutely right, unequivocally.
Okay. So no room for other views.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
An egocentric individual tends to attribute any mistakes or differing opinions solely to others. They show very little, often no interest in counter-arguments or alternative perspectives. It's a really rigid, often quite isolating stance. A healthy self-esteem, on the other hand, actually allows for much greater flexibility. It allows for introspection and the open consideration that other valid viewpoints exist, even if they differ from your own. It acknowledges that you can be wrong, and still be a valuable person.
Okay, so self-efficacy is less about that general feeling of goodness and much more about a precise, actionable belief in your competence for a specific task or challenge. And the impact of this difference is huge, isn't it? Like, individuals with high self-efficacy, they tend to be instinctively drawn to challenging tasks. They see problems not as these insurmountable barriers, but as stimulating, engaging challenges, things to overcome. They demonstrate this almost, unshakable commitment to their interests and activities even when things get tough. And crucially, they recover remarkably quickly from setbacks. They see failures not as, personal indictments or definitive proof they're inadequate.
More like data points.
Exactly. Temporary learning opportunities, valuable data points for improvement. It's a very different framing. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Those with low self-efficacy, in stark contrast, often actively avoid challenging tasks. or setting ambitious goals. They perceive difficult objectives as simply, well, out of reach. It's like they almost pre-program themselves for failure, and when they do encounter a setback, they tend to personalize those failures. They internalize them as like undeniable evidence of their own inadequacy. And that leads to this vicious cycle of doubt and avoidance. It's almost like they walk into a situation already expecting to stumble, which, well, often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it?
It really does. And this raises a really important question for all of us, I think. Where does this powerful, specific belief, this self-efficacy, actually come from? I mean, it's not some innate fixed trait we're just born with. Research, particularly by a prominent psychologist in this field, points to four primary sources, four main things that significantly influence our personal decision-making, our willingness to tackle challenges, and ultimately, our capacity for action.
Exactly. These are often called the four pillars. And the first one, which you could argue is the most powerful, is mastery experiences. It's that direct, undeniable proof of your own capabilities.
Mastery experiences are, well, they're all about directly experiencing success. Every single victory, no matter how small or maybe seemingly insignificant it feels, powerfully reinforces that message to your brain. Hey, I can do this. Ooh, think about it, right? Successfully completing a tough project at work, finishing a marathon you trained months for, finally holding a decent conversation in a new language you've been struggling with, or even just, nailing a job interview after weeks of prep. These tangible successes, they serve as undeniable, irrefutable proof of your capabilities. They are absolutely the most potent way to build robust, resilient self-efficacy. It's like etching a deep sense of competence right into your very being. Each one is like a deposit in your confidence bank.
That makes so much intuitive sense. It really underlines the importance of starting small, doesn't it? Breaking down those bigger, maybe daunting goals into achievable micro goals, and then building steadily one success right on top of another. Even minor successes like finally organizing your desk or completing a small daily task you've been putting off, or even just getting through the first chapter of a really difficult book, they reinforce that belief in your capabilities. It's kind of like building muscle, isn't it? One successful lift at a time. You start with the light weights, you gain strength and confidence, and then gradually you move to heavier loads. Each small win basically wires your brain for the next bigger challenge.
Precisely. Okay, so the second pillar is vicarious experiences. This refers to the profound impact of just observing others succeed. When you see someone similar to you, maybe someone you can identify with, perhaps a peer facing similar challenges, or a mentor who overcame obstacles you're currently staring down when you see them achieve a goal, it fosters this powerful belief in your own potential. It's more than just feeling inspired. It's a really powerful form of observational learning. Your brain kind of thinks, okay, if they can do it given their background or situation, then maybe this path is actually traversable for me too. It provides a kind of mental blueprint and a sense of possibility.
Hmm. That really highlights the importance of having relatable role models in your life, doesn't it? Whether they're peers, mentors, or even, public figures whose journeys really resonate with your own aspirations. This strategy seems particularly effective when you're venturing into new or challenging behaviors because it shows you, okay, this path is traversable, success is attainable. It's like seeing someone successfully navigate a really complex maze. Suddenly, it doesn't seem quite so impossible when you know someone else has found the exit, right?
Exactly. It provides a visual roadmap
Yeah.
and definitely reduces the perceived risk.
Okay, so what's the third source?
The third source is verbal persuasion. Now, this is all about the encouragement and the positive feedback you receive from others. This can significantly boost your motivation and your belief in your own abilities. Think of a coach telling you, you've absolutely got this, or a friend saying, look, I really believe in your talent here, that kind of thing. However, and this is key, for this to be truly effective, two conditions really need to be met. First, the person offering the encouragement must be genuinely credible in your eyes. You have to respect their opinion. And second, you must believe that the task or goal they're encouraging you towards is actually, well, achievable for you.
Right. So empty praise doesn't cut it.
Not really. Empty praise or, say, encouragement from someone you don't particularly respect, it just won't resonate or have the same lasting impact. It needs to feel authentic, and it needs to feel grounded in a realistic assessment of your capabilities.
So it's not just about getting a generic "you can do it" from anyone, but getting it from someone whose opinion truly matters to you, someone you respect and trust. This suggests then actively seeking out supportive networks, friends, family, colleagues, mentors, people who genuinely believe in you. It also means maybe using positive affirmations for yourself, but critically, making those affirmations believable and tied to your perceived capacity. This external validation, when it's genuinely internalized and, crucially, combined with real world experiences that actually validate that encouragement, well, that can truly strengthen your self belief. It's like the bridge between someone else believing in you and you truly believing in yourself.
Well put. And finally, the fourth pillar, physiological states. This is perhaps the one that's most often overlooked, but our emotional and physical states directly influence our perceived capacity to perform. When you're feeling stressed, acutely anxious, really fatigued, or experiencing intense negative emotions, your self-efficacy can just plummet, even if your actual skills haven't changed at all. You might just feel overwhelmed, incapable, or completely drained. Conversely, a calm, rested, and positive physiological state can significantly enhance your perception of your own abilities. It makes you feel ready to tackle anything.
And there's a real biological basis for this, isn't there?
Absolutely. This connection is deeply rooted in our neurobiology. For instance, acute and persistent stress. It isn't just a feeling, it physically impacts crucial brain structures. The amygdala, often called your brain's alarm system, can basically go into overdrive.
Making you see threats everywhere.
Exactly. Leading to a state of hypervigilance. And simultaneously, the prefrontal cortex, which is your brain's executive decision maker, your problem solver, it can become compromised, its function literally reduced. So when these areas are struggling, it's not just harder to feel capable, but your brain literally struggles to process options, make clear decisions, and take effective action. This creates a physiological barrier to self-belief that we often mistakenly attribute solely to, a lack of willpower. Understanding this helps us realize that managing our physical state is actually a direct pathway to managing our mental state.
Wow, that's a powerful insight into the mind-body connection. So, practical advice here would include things like actively managing stress, right? Maybe through techniques like mindfulness or deep breathing exercises. Ensuring you get adequate restorative rest, that seems crucial. And engaging in regular physical activity. These actions help create a physiological state that's more conducive to feeling capable, more resilient, and ready to act. It's really about optimizing your internal environment, your actual biology, so your self belief can truly flourish and you can approach challenges from a position of strength, not, exhaustion. Okay, now that we've kind of unpacked the foundational pillars of self efficacy, the real magic happens when we see it in action, right? How does this fundamental belief truly reshape our lives and transform performance? Let's zoom in on a few critical areas, starting, perhaps surprisingly to some, with how it revolutionizes learning and academic performance, whether you're literally in a classroom or just learning something new for your own personal growth.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is just how directly self-efficacy impacts education. When students feel competent, when they trust their abilities, their active involvement in the learning process just dramatically increases. They don't just sit back and passively absorb information. They lean in, they ask questions, they seek out deeper understanding. High self-efficacy in students doesn't just correlate with higher expectations for themselves. It acts like an internal GPS, guiding them to actively seek out challenging material, not avoid it. They place a greater intrinsic value on learning tasks, and crucially, they take a stronger sense of personal responsibility for their own learning objectives. They become active participants rather than passive recipients, and that transforms learning from maybe a chore into more of a quest.
And this applies to such a wide variety of modern learning scenarios too, right? Even adapting to things like online tools, digital mind maps, interactive timelines, multimedia brochures. It's not just about traditional classrooms anymore. It's about empowering learners in these really dynamic environments. And research shows a significant positive impact of these interactive tools on things like communication skills, vocabulary acquisition, grammar proficiency, and overall student motivation. They seem to enable students to organize their thoughts better, connect complex ideas, and express their ideas more freely without necessarily over-relying on external translators or just rote memorization. It fosters this profound sense of independence and capability. Imagine, like, a student in an English as a foreign language class feeling confident enough to speak up and participate, even when they know they might make mistakes. That's a huge game changer for building fluency and confidence.
Precisely. In fact, in one compelling study, students who specifically integrated these strategic tools into their English learning process showed marked improvement in their speaking performance and a really notable increase in confidence, even when they made errors. They became more willing to communicate simply because they felt a stronger sense of their own capacity to be understood and, importantly, to learn from their mistakes. Furthermore, The development of metacognitive skills, that ability to identify your own weak points, monitor your own learning progress, and then devise effective strategies to overcome those challenges, that's also strongly linked to increased self-confidence in language learning. It's this powerful virtuous cycle. Higher self-efficacy encourages more engagement, which in turn builds more confidence and that crucial metacognitive awareness.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the professional world. In today's incredibly dynamic digital age, marked by rapid technological advancements, automation, increasingly remote work models, self-efficacy truly feels like a superpower. Whether you're learning a brand new skill for your current job, maybe launching an entrepreneurial venture from scratch, or just adapting to the latest technologies like AI, that fundamental belief in your ability to figure it out, to adapt and to learn on the fly, that's really what determines your perseverance. Without that foundational belief, it's just incredibly easy to get stuck, feel overwhelmed, or simply give up when faced with the inevitable complexities of modern work. It feels like the silent engine of resilience in your career.
Mhm. And this leads us directly to the critical concept of a mindset shift. Now, this isn't just about accumulating new facts or skills. It's a profound, often life-altering personal transformation that occurs through continuous learning and intellectual growth. It means understanding that learning isn't just something you did back in school or during a formal training program. It's a lifelong process. It's continuous education and an embrace of new skills and paradigms at literally any age. This mindset shift recognizes that prior knowledge and experiences, even things that seem totally unrelated, can become unexpectedly valuable assets in acquiring new skills and navigating novel challenges. It's really about seeing your entire life as a kind of learning lab.
Yeah, I heard a compelling example once that really resonated. Imagine a career transformation from something quite artistic, like music, to a highly technical field like medicine. It might sound like an impossible leap on paper, right? Like trying to connect two entirely different planets. But embracing continuous learning can lead to exactly these kinds of significant career shifts and profound personal growth. Past experiences, even those you might have once considered useless from previous jobs or hobbies, can become unexpected advantages in new fields. A background in music, for instance, might cultivate a unique sensitivity, or pattern recognition skills, or discipline that actually proves invaluable in diagnostics or patient care in medicine. It's about leveraging your entire life's experience as this unique toolkit. And the idea of developing a second skill seems crucial here too for navigating these rapidly changing economies.
It's exactly. For professional resilience in today's economy, developing a second skill isn't just a casual suggestion. It's becoming a strategic imperative. This isn't just about having a hobby on the side. It involves cultivating deep knowledge and expertise in two distinct, often complementary areas, rather than just hyper-specializing in one. This dual expertise allows for far greater adaptability and flexibility. It makes it significantly easier to transition to new job opportunities, pivot within your existing field, or even create entirely new roles as economic landscapes and industry demands shift. It's kind of like your professional safety net and your innovation engine all rolled into one.
And the brilliant news here is that acquiring these new skills has never been more accessible or flexible, has it? Online learning platforms offer truly transformative opportunities for efficient and, frankly, often genuinely enjoyable skill acquisition. They accelerate both personal learning and professional growth beyond anything we've really seen before. They break down those traditional barriers to education like geographic location, cost, or rigid schedules, allowing pretty much anyone at any age to pursue new knowledge and capabilities. It effectively democratizes continuous growth and makes it a reality for millions.
Absolutely. Now, moving to another high-stakes arena, let's talk about sports performance. Self-efficacy plays an undeniably crucial role here, too. It's defined in this context as the perceived ability to successfully perform specific tasks within the athletic realm, whether that's executing a perfect free throw under pressure, maintaining your pace during the final grueling mile of a race, or making that crucial save in soccer. Recent systematic reviews consistently show a strong, positive relationship between an athlete's level of self-efficacy and their actual athletic achievement. The belief in their ability directly translates somehow to their physical output and performance.
So it's not just about raw physical talent then. This deep-seated belief system is intricately linked with other vital psychological variables that really determine an athlete's success and their overall well-being. We're talking about things like anxiety management, maintaining mental toughness through adversity, sustained motivation even when training is incredibly grueling, and overall resilience in the face of tough competition or even injury. High self-efficacy seems fundamental for achieving better sports performance, and these psychological variables don't act in isolation, do they?
No, not at all. They collectively influence an athlete's overall well-being. both on and off the field. It's truly a holistic mental game.
Which raises an important question. Who helps foster this belief in athletes?
That's a key point. The crucial role of the athlete support system. Think about coaches who provide constructive feedback and unwavering belief, sports psychologists who help manage the mental game, teammates offering encouragement and solidarity, and even family members providing that unconditional backing. Their role in cultivating an athlete's self-efficacy cannot be overstated. Perceived social support, in particular, is emerging as a really key dimension for future research in this area. It highlights that building individual belief is very much a communal effort. It's often the collective belief surrounding an athlete that elevates their individual performance.
Okay, so while self-belief is clearly this powerful force for progress and achievement, it feels equally important to acknowledge and actively navigate those internal challenges that can subtly yet powerfully undermine it. One of the most prevalent and, frankly, insidious of these is imposter syndrome. Okay, let's try and unpack this a bit. Imposter syndrome is that deep-seated, persistent feeling of inadequacy despite consistent achievements, maybe overwhelming evidence of success, and even external validation from others. It's that nagging internal voice whispering things like, "You're not good enough, you don't belong here," or the classic, "Any moment now, someone will discover you're a fraud and expose you." It can feel like a very lonely experience, even when you're surrounded by external signs of success.
hmm And what's truly fascinating, or perhaps comforting in a strange way, is that imposter syndrome is a remarkably common experience. Estimates suggest it affects maybe around 70% of people at some point in their lives. It seems especially prevalent for those in challenging, high-pressure, or entrepreneurial roles where objective measures of success can sometimes be ambiguous. It's often our own brilliant, yet sometimes overthinking brain playing tricks on us, isn't it? Leading to feelings of worthlessness or an intense, often disproportionate fear of criticism. The crucial insight, I think, is that it's not something you necessarily cure and then it's gone forever, like catching a cold.
Right, it's not like flipping a switch.
Exactly. Instead, it's often something you learn to live with, to manage, and to actively diminish its power over time through consistent, conscious effort. It's really about building a better, maybe more compassionate relationship with your internal critic.
And closely related to imposter syndrome and equally detrimental is the pervasive impact of negative self-talk. That internal critic can be a truly powerful saboteur, can't it? Wielding immense influence over our actions and, just as importantly, our inactions. Constant negative thoughts, whether it's "I always mess up," or "I'm just not good at this," or maybe "what I'm creating is just a mess," or "this idea is ridiculous." These thoughts can literally wire your brain to avoid action, to procrastinate indefinitely, or to simply give up before you've even truly started. It's like having this constant, discouraging commentator inside your head, just eroding your motivation with every single thought.
And research indicates just how pervasive this can actually be. Some studies suggest that up to 80% of our daily thoughts can lean towards the negative. And these repetitive negative thoughts don't just make you feel bad. They actively and significantly reduce motivation, they inhibit action taking, and they create this vicious cycle of doubt, fear, and inaction. If you constantly tell yourself you can't, your brain, being a remarkably efficient servant in many ways, will find ways to prove you right. It'll subtly steer you away from opportunities or encourage you to quit prematurely. It's a self-sabotaging loop that really needs to be consciously broken.
Wow, 80%. That's staggering. So, what does this all mean for us then? It means we need practical, actionable strategies for learning to coexist with these internal challenges and, more importantly, to actively diminish their power over our lives. Let's talk about some effective approaches that can truly shift the balance. First, and perhaps most immediately impactful, focus on facts and achievements. Regularly reviewing your accomplishments, maybe looking at objective metrics like sales figures, completed projects, positive feedback you've received, or even just rereading glowing client testimonials or notes of appreciation helps to counter that internal narrative of inadequacy. These are undeniable external proofs of your capabilities, right? Concrete evidence that your internal critic often tries to conveniently ignore or downplay. Maybe consider keeping a win journal or something similar to log these moments, big or small.
That's a great practical tip. Another absolutely crucial strategy, especially in our hyper-connected world today, is to consciously stop comparing yourself to others. The trap of comparison, which is just fueled by endless social media feeds where everyone presents their polished highlight reel, can relentlessly fuel mental noise and self-doubt. You end up comparing your messy, real-time, behind-the-scenes process to someone else's curated, finished end result. Consciously limiting your exposure to content that triggers this kind of comparison is absolutely crucial for your mental well-being and your self-efficacy. It's like deliberately turning off the background noise that keeps telling you you're not enough. Unfollow, mute, or just take intentional digital breaks.
That's easier said than done sometimes, but so incredibly important for your mental peace. And then here's a strategy that I think offers immense psychological relief. Give yourself permission to have bad days. Just acknowledging that not every day will be perfect, that mistakes are an inherent and often quite necessary part of the learning and growth process, that can alleviate immense internal pressure. It's about accepting that maybe you could have done better, but you still did it. The action itself, however imperfect or flawed it felt, is what truly matters for progress, not the elusive, often paralyzing pursuit of perfection. This mindset allows you to move forward instead of getting stuck ruminating in regret.
Yes, and this flows directly into our next strategy, which is prioritize action over analysis paralysis. Accumulating knowledge without ever putting it into practice is fundamentally counterproductive, isn't it? It's like meticulously planning a cross-country road trip down to the last detail, but never actually leaving the driveway. The goal isn't just to know more, it's ultimately to do more. Taking consistent action, even small, imperfect steps forward, is essential for progress, and is often the most effective, most immediate way to silence those nagging doubts and imposter feelings. Action generates evidence. Evidence builds self-efficacy. It proves to your brain that you're capable, even and especially when you feel uncertain.
So less overthinking and more doing, basically.
Right.
And building on that, create a network of trust. Talking openly and honestly to other professionals, especially those in similar fields or maybe entrepreneurial roles, and building a supportive community that helps normalize these fears and insecurities. You'll probably quickly discover that imposter syndrome isn't some rare personal failing unique only to you, but an almost universal experience that affects nearly everyone, from top high achievers to seasoned entrepreneurs. The shared vulnerability fosters connection, it provides unique insights, and it offers immense psychological relief. It transforms what feels like a lonely struggle into a shared journey of growth.
That's so true. Finally, a really powerful internal strategy that kind of underpins all the others. Cultivate self-acceptance. Engaging in deep, honest introspection helps you understand how you genuinely are, how you feel, how you think, and how you act, ideally without harsh judgment. Accepting yourself, with all your strengths and your perceived weaknesses, provides a solid, unwavering starting point for continuous improvement. The belief that you can face crises and adversity, and that you possess the inherent capacity to persist towards your goals despite difficulties, that's a vital component of self-acceptance that fuels long-term resilience. It's really about building a compassionate inner voice that says, fundamentally, I am enough and I'm capable of growing.
Okay, let's broaden our scope now. We've talked a lot about individual self-belief, but let's shift to the intricate, fundamental web of human connections. The significance of trust in any relationship, but especially in dynamic professional environments, well, it just cannot be overstated, can it? It feels like the invisible glue that holds teams, projects, everything together.
Indeed. What's truly fascinating here is how trust acts as this crucial, almost magical catalyst for positive work environments. It consistently leads to collaborators who are more engaged, more creative, and significantly more productive. It's truly fundamental in any field where interpersonal relationships play a key role, whether you're talking about high-stakes business negotiations, compassionate patient care in healthcare settings, or establishing essential support networks in social work. Without trust, communication inevitably breaks down, innovation falters, and true collaboration becomes nearly impossible. It really is the bedrock.
And I know there are tools for this. One incredibly valuable and structured tool for systematically building trust within teams is something called braving. It's a framework, I believe, developed by a renowned researcher in vulnerability and courage that helps foster an environment where ideas can be expressed without fear of judgment or reprisal, an environment where relationships are characterized by transparency, authenticity, and mutual respect. It's really about creating a genuinely safe space for vulnerability and connection, allowing individuals to truly show up as their authentic selves.
Exactly. The Braving Framework outlines 7 essential elements, an acronym, actually for cultivating and maintaining trust within teams. Each one contributes to a robust culture of psychological safety. Let's quickly run through them. First, B is for boundaries. Being really clear about what's okay and what's not okay, and crucially, respecting those boundaries in others. This means communicating your limits and being mindful of others. Second, R is for reliability. Simply doing what you say you'll do consistently without making excuses. It's about following through on commitments, both big and small. Third, A is for accountability. Taking genuine responsibility for your mistakes, apologizing sincerely when needed, and making amends. This is absolutely crucial for rebuilding trust when it's inevitably broken sometimes. Fourth, V is for vault. Not sharing information or confidences that aren't yours to share. This means respecting confidentiality and protecting sensitive discussions, keeping things locked down. Fifth, I is for integrity, choosing courage over comfort, choosing what's right over what's perhaps fun, fast, or easy. It's about aligning your actions with your stated values. Sixth, N is for non-judgment, creating an environment where people feel safe to ask for help or share struggles without fearing they'll be judged or criticized by others. This fosters empathy and understanding. And seventh, G is for generosity, extending the most generous interpretation possible to the intentions, words, and actions of others. It means assuming positive intent first, even when things go awry or seem ambiguous. These 7 pillars together are really essential for a functional, high-performing team where trust can truly flourish.
That's a fantastic framework. So, how do we actively put this braving framework into practice on a day-to-day basis? There seem to be many practical ways to build this deep trust. For example, maybe creating clear communication codes so everyone is on the same page about expectations, how information is shared, how decisions are made. Aligning work practices ensures processes feel fair and transparent, which reduces friction and misunderstandings. And fostering a deep awareness of individual communication styles and preferences can really bridge gaps between different personalities on a team. Activities, maybe even things like team building treasure hunts or blind walks where team members have to rely on each other and communicate in new ways, those can be incredibly effective. They help teams get to know each other on a deeper, maybe more vulnerable level, breaking down assumptions and building profound empathy and appreciation for their differences. It makes that abstract concept of trust much more tangible.
Absolutely. And this seamlessly leads us into the concept of humility in leadership. We often talk about confident humility as a cornerstone of success, especially in these dynamic and rapidly changing environments where learning is just constant. It's about finding that delicate yet powerful balance between self-assurance in your own abilities, knowing your strengths and expertise, and an authentic openness to continuous learning, to receiving feedback, and importantly, admitting what you don't know. It's the recognition that even with your expertise, there's always room for growth and improvement, and that the team's collective intelligence often surpasses any single individual's.
And what's truly powerful about humble leaders, it seems, is their ability to genuinely recognize and express sincere appreciation for their team's contributions. This isn't just about being polite, it actively motivates collaborators to take on more responsibility, to innovate more freely, and even to step forward into leadership roles themselves. This approach has been shown, actually across different countries and cultures, to make team members feel genuinely valued, seen, and recognized. And that profoundly boosts morale, engagement, and overall effectiveness. It creates this kind of psychological ripple effect where people feel empowered to give their best work.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, particularly the A for accountability and braving, a leader who admits mistakes and apologizes sincerely demonstrates not just integrity, but also incredible vulnerability and courage. These are absolutely critical for building deep trust. This open approach fosters a culture of accountability, where learning from errors is actively encouraged, and continuous improvement becomes a shared value within the team. This makes the entire group more resilient and adaptable in the long run. Conversely, a leader who ignores errors, deflects blame, or refuses to take responsibility, well, that profoundly diminishes respect and erodes the very foundation of trust, leading almost inevitably to disengagement and cynicism.
Okay, so beyond just trust, cultivating emotional intelligence feels like another absolutely essential skill set for effective and constructive relationships, both personally and professionally. This seems to encompass a really comprehensive range of emotional competencies, doesn't it? Things like emotional self-awareness, the ability for self-regulation, developing true empathy for others, having strong social skills for effective interaction, and even those broader life skills necessary for overall well-being and thriving. They feel like the lubricants of human interaction.
They really are. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that emotional self-awareness is truly first recognize and understand within yourself. This core competency involves not just perceiving your own emotions, but also accurately discerning between them, like identifying if it's anger versus frustration, or maybe sadness versus disappointment, understanding their underlying causes, and anticipating their potential consequences on your behavior and on others. It's really about taking that introspective journey to truly understand your internal world, which then allows you to navigate the external one much more skillfully.
Right. And once you have that self-awareness, you can then move more effectively to emotional regulation, that ability to manage your emotions effectively and appropriately in different situations. This seems crucial for handling stress, navigating challenges without becoming completely overwhelmed, and preventing that kind of emotional reactivity that can really damage relationships. Leaders who model healthy emotional regulation don't just help themselves, they create a ripple effect that benefits their entire teams, especially in high pressure situations. They help foster a more stable, predictable, and calm working environment where people feel safer to express themselves and take risks.
Absolutely. And communication and empathy are truly two sides of the same coin here, operating hand in hand. Leaders who genuinely understand and respond to others' emotions can effectively address concerns before they escalate, resolve conflicts constructively, and build much stronger, more meaningful relationships. This also raises an important question, though. How do we ensure open dialogue where everyone feels truly heard? Assertiveness becomes a key communication skill in teams. It's about expressing your feelings, thoughts, and preferences clearly and directly, while always respecting others' rights and viewpoints. It's about valuing differing opinions as opportunities for growth, not as threats or sources of conflict, and creating a space where they can be shared without fear of negative repercussions.
Okay, and finally, we probably need to acknowledge the often complex yet profoundly impactful virtues of things like asking for help, showing gratitude, and acting with kindness. It's actually surprising how often pride, or maybe a fear of ridicule, or even just a sense of vulnerability can prevent people from simply asking for help when they genuinely need it, or from genuinely showing appreciation to others. But consistently practicing these virtues, offering help proactively, expressing sincere gratitude regularly, and acting with kindness as a default, that actually builds deeper trust and strengthens team bonds in really tangible ways. For example, a leader effectively delegating important tasks signals that you trust your team's capabilities. It fosters a sense of empowerment and shows them you believe in their ability to deliver, which, coming full circle, reinforces their own self efficacy. Let's turn our attention now to cultivating two incredibly powerful forces for navigating life's inevitable ups and downs: a growth mindset and genuine resilience. These aren't just buzzwords floating around, they are profound capacities we can develop.
Mhm. The power of lifelong learning is truly transformative, a profound mindset shift. That deep, life-altering personal transformation where you fundamentally alter your approach to challenges and learning can genuinely occur at any age through dedicated learning and growth. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's about actively maintaining curiosity, embracing new information, and fostering a continuous engagement with learning. Always seeking to expand your knowledge and skills rather than feeling like you've reached some fixed point in your development. It's really about cultivating an almost insatiable hunger for understanding and improvement.
And this means actively reframing challenges, doesn't it? Instead of seeing them as these insurmountable obstacles, fixed barriers blocking your progress, you can consciously choose to view them as exciting opportunities for growth, fostering a positive outlook even amidst difficulties. This isn't about ignoring problems or pretending they don't exist. It's a proactive approach that involves setting ambitious goals and pursuing them consistently, recognizing that every experience, even a seemingly useless one from your past, can serve as a valuable asset for acquiring new skills and navigating novel situations. It's about asking, okay, what can I learn from this? Rather than getting stuck in why is this happening to me?
Yes, exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, resilience is that profound capacity to face crises and adversity head on, to bounce back effectively from setbacks, and to persist towards your goals despite difficulties. It's crucial to understand that resilience is not some inherent trait that some people just magically have and others don't. It's a dynamic skill. It's developed and strengthened through consistent effort, learning from experience, and a genuine willingness to confront obstacles head on rather than avoiding them. It's really a muscle that grows stronger with every challenge overcome.
And here's where that perceived social support we mentioned earlier becomes such a powerful protective factor. High social support from friends, family, mentors, community can act as a buffer, cushioning the impact of negative life events. It can even influence your perception of emotional expressions, making you less prone to perceive threat or negativity where none might actually exist. What's fascinating here, too, is the nuanced role of anxiety. While chronic unmanaged stress can definitely negatively impact crucial brain structures related to cognition and behavior affecting decision making, memory may be leading to maladaptive behaviors. Anxiety, in its proper measure, can also be a powerful, even healthy driver of change. It can generate a sense of urgency, sharpen focus, and motivate us to problem solve and take necessary action. It can push us out of complacency towards growth. The key seems to be harnessing that energy constructively rather than letting it completely overwhelm you.
hmm So practical strategies for building resilience often involve breaking down the path to recovery or achievement into manageable incremental steps. Each small success, each tiny step forward, builds momentum and reinforces your capacity to keep going, even when things feel tough. Seeking honest, constructive feedback from mentors or supportive communities also provides invaluable external perspectives. And it reinforces the understanding that failures are not final destinations or personal indictments, but temporary states and, importantly, crucial learning experiences. It's about taking note of the lesson learned, not dwelling endlessly on the fall itself.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the absolute transformative power of strategic goal setting for achieving both personal and professional fulfillment. This isn't just a casual exercise like making a New Year's resolution. It's a deeply transformative process that empowers you to take intentional control of your life. It provides clear direction, a palpable sense of purpose, and a roadmap for your aspirations. It's far more than just casual self-improvement. It's about establishing deliberate, measurable objectives that truly align with your deepest values and desires.
Yeah, and what's fascinating and maybe obvious but often overlooked is the absolute necessity of specificity in goal setting. It's about moving beyond those vague desires like, oh, I want to increase sales, to precise, measurable targets. Something like, I will increase sales by 20% in the next quarter by implementing these 3 specific marketing strategies and expanding the sales team by adding 2 new hires. This level of precision creates a clear roadmap for action. It makes progress easily trackable, and it gives you a tangible target to aim for, which significantly increases your likelihood of actually achieving it.
That makes perfect sense. So, practically speaking, how do we do this effectively? It seems really beneficial to define both short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals, like maybe weekly tasks or monthly milestones, act as those crucial stepping stones, building momentum towards the larger long-term aspirations that might span years or even decades. And remember to consider both personal and professional aspirations to create a truly balanced, holistic life plan. It's about nurturing all areas of your life, not just focusing intensely on one, for sustained fulfillment and well-being.
Absolutely. And a structured approach to the actual planning and execution of these goals is invaluable. We can leverage proven techniques to translate those aspirations into concrete action. First, time blocking. Think of it literally as scheduling your focus time. It means allocating specific dedicated time slots in your calendar for particular tasks, literally blocking out potential distractions to maximize productivity and ensure critical work gets done consistently. Second, identifying your most important tasks, MITs for each day. These are maybe the 1-3 critical objectives that, if you completed them, would make the day feel like a success. This ensures your key objectives don't get lost in the unavoidable shuffle of less important activities and urgent but not important demands. And remember, incremental action. Breaking down that path to recovery after a setback or achievement of a big goal into manageable, consistent steps. Small, consistent actions, when compounded over time, build unstoppable momentum and make even overwhelming goals feel much more achievable.
Right, small steps add up. And it's not just about you working in a vacuum, is it? Emphasizing seeking support and accountability from trusted friends, family, or mentors seems incredibly important for maintaining consistent progress. Sharing your goals with others creates this powerful sense of responsibility and provides crucial encouragement when you inevitably hit a roadblock or experience moments of self-doubt. Joining relevant communities, whether they're online forums or in-person groups, can also offer invaluable camaraderie, shared experiences, and unique insights you might not discover entirely on your own. It makes the journey feel less solitary and much more supported.
So true. And what's fascinating here and vital to remember is that setting goals is really just the beginning. The absolute necessity of regular reviews and reflections for staying on track cannot be overstated. This isn't a one-and-done event where you set goals in January and forget them. It's an iterative process. Regular review allows you to objectively assess your progress, importantly, celebrate your achievements along the way, no matter how small they seem, and crucially, adjust your strategies as needed based on what's working and what's not. It ensures flexibility and keeps your goals aligned with your evolving reality.
Absolutely. Think of it as a constant feedback loop that keeps you on course, right? Advocating for maybe weekly and monthly check-ins seems key here. Evaluating how you're progressing towards your objectives, reinforcing those accomplishments that fuels motivation for continued growth and keeps you aligned with your larger vision. It's about building this consistent rhythm of progress and self-correction into your life. And that brings us towards the end of another fascinating deep dive. We've journeyed through the intricacies of self-belief, seen how a strong sense of self-efficacy empowers you to confidently tackle challenges and fundamentally transform your professional and academic life. We've explored the subtle yet profound barriers of things like imposter syndrome and negative self-talk, and hopefully armed ourselves with some actionable strategies to navigate them more effectively. We've truly appreciated how cultivating trust and emotional intelligence are not just, nice to haves, but essential catalysts for strong, productive relationships that underpin pretty much all success. And finally, we touched on the transformative power of embracing a growth mindset and the strategic importance of setting clear, actionable goals. These are all intertwined paths, aren't they? Each reinforcing the other, leading towards a more fulfilling and successful personal and professional life. hmm And perhaps consider this as you go about your day. Reflect on the profound idea that your beliefs don't just shape your actions, they quite literally define your reality. How can cultivating a deeper, more intentional belief in your own capabilities and extending that trust outwards to others, maybe using frameworks like braving, enable you to not just navigate, but actively shape your journey in the world around you? What new possibility emerges when you fully embrace the clarity that comes from genuine curiosity about yourself and about your capacity to impact your surroundings?
Powerful questions to ponder, indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing.